When a commercial driver strike suddenly hits, the supply chain freezes, freight stops moving, and logistics operations grind to a halt. Company leadership immediately shifts into damage control mode. The mandate is to preserve continuity, protect existing contractual obligations, and stop bleeding lost revenue. When unionized drivers walk off the job, the standard organizational reflex is to call a staffing firm and source temporary contract personnel to fill the gaps. This instinct to rapidly drop replacement drivers into empty seats relies on a specific assumption that logistics continuity is a basic staffing problem. We call this the one-to-one substitution fallacy. Executives often treat replacement drivers as premium-priced temporary staff. The reality is that deploying these replacements is never operationally neutral. It carries hidden structural implications that rearrange the risk profile of the entire company. Treating this deployment as a routine HR function creates immediate exposure to avoidable legal liability and insurance risk. These severe operational missteps fracture internal workforce relations, resulting in long-term labor instability that outlasts the actual duration of the strike. Surviving a labor dispute requires abandoning the HR substitution mindset entirely. It demands a multivariable risk management strategy. Before a single replacement driver touches a steering wheel, regulatory compliance dictates whether they can even legally deploy. This starts with the exact legal classification of the strike itself. Labor law divides disputes into two categories: the economic strike and the unfair labor practice strike. In an economic strike, employers may hire temporary or permanent replacement workers. But in an unfair labor practice strike, permanently replacing workers triggers significant legal consequences. In this latter scenario, striking workers retain priority rights for reinstatement once the dispute resolves. Furthermore, existing collective bargaining agreements and complex state-level variations can severely restrict an employer's replacement rights. Legal missteps here are structural failures, not operational errors. Bringing in labor counsel before a dispute escalates is a prerequisite for any further action. Financially, replacement drivers command a premium, reflecting the urgency, risk, and specialized nature of the environment. The iceberg model maps the cost structure. The visible tip is the immediate financial shock. Base wages jump 1.5 to 3 times the baseline, but costs extend deep underwater, including specialized agency fees and travel and lodging for out-of-area personnel. Then you hit the operational expenses. Accelerated training programs require investment, and initial route inefficiencies inevitably drive up fuel usage. There is also a major insurance blind spot. Standard commercial policies contain specific conditions tied to employee status, which can void coverage for temporary contractors. Because operational conditions degrade during labor disputes, insurers frequently reassess risk and hike deductibles accordingly. Organizations that fail to account for these compounded variables face severe, unpredictable margin compression throughout an extended dispute. Temporary replacement drivers face a chaotic, high-tension physical environment when attempting to cross an active picket line during a major labor dispute. Putting an experienced CDL driver in a new truck does not automatically translate to operational efficiency under hostile conditions. Relying on ad hoc training inevitably leads to missed deliveries, customer service breakdowns, and severe safety vulnerabilities. To rapidly stabilize driver performance, SEADs must execute an accelerated onboarding model, moving through a pre-deployment briefing, an on-site walkthrough, a supervised shadow run, and final compliance verification. This process standardizes instruction regarding specific vehicle operation standards, alternative routing, and strict union interaction boundaries. Reducing onboarding to a simple printout of route instructions creates unacceptable operational variability and legal risk. The core operational deficit of a replacement driver is that they completely lack geographic familiarity and internal institutional memory. To artificially supply this missing context in real time, fleets require a technology scaffold. GPS-based route optimization systems compensate for a driver's lack of local knowledge, preventing delayed deliveries before they happen. Digital compliance tracking and real-time dispatch platforms remove the reliance on the unwritten knowledge that permanent staff possess. Organizations lacking strong operational technology will experience prolonged disruption because replacement personnel cannot function efficiently on analog instructions alone. Successfully executing a replacement driver program is impossible if the effort remains siloed within the HR department. It demands strict structural alignment. Legal ensures compliance, while HR manages complex workforce dynamics and accelerated onboarding. Operations focuses purely on maintaining service continuity, while risk management actively audits insurance exposure and liability limitations. Fragmented, disjointed approaches create compounding gaps and severe decision latency during peak periods of disruption. True execution consistency requires all 4 departments to operate as a single, aligned contingency task force. This is the divide between a reactive hiring vendor and a true contingency partner. Waiting until a strike becomes public to source drivers guarantees failure, because the quality labor pool rapidly contracts under urgency. The RSS Inc. methodology avoids this by relying exclusively on pre-vetted CDL networks and pre-existing operational infrastructure long before disruption occurs. Engaging with a contingency partner in advance provides pre-aligned deployment plans and eliminates chaotic decision-making pressure. The difference between maintaining operations and experiencing catastrophic downtime is determined entirely before the strike ever begins.